So the data-oriented tech stack, as the word implies, is a stack. So it's a collection of different pieces of technology, all leaning on each other, all working with each other. And it's data-oriented. So it means that when you work with it, whatever you do is always like taking care of the data first and how the machine, how the computer handles that data. And that means that the data-oriented tech stack, DOTS in short, runs super fast and basically will enable a scale of games which was impossible to achieve before in Unity. So DOTS will bring a lot of changes to Unity, definitely. The first one, obviously, is performance. When we made DOTS, the main reason behind DOTS was achieving this bigger scale in games. So DOTS is gonna literally allow you to have like more objects on screen or run more complex routines in your games, have bigger worlds and so forth, and also stream them faster. So having a bigger world where you can now stream like pieces of the world super fast and unload them at the same time. One of the main concepts behind DOTS, in fact, we used to use this sentence, performance by default. The idea that DOTS brings you performance and you don't really have to do a lot of work to achieve it, but you get it by default. Then of course you can do your own optimization on top of that. So I think, again, the way the development of Unity games will work is we're gonna see bigger games, more performant games in general. We're gonna see also smaller games. Maybe I can touch on that on the why. Another thing that we're gonna see is probably bigger teams as well, because DOTS, the way it's structured, especially on the code side and the ECS side, one of the parts of DOTS, allows for like better organization of the code. And that means that your team can now scale and more people can work together at the same time, which means that I foresee like bigger teams, bigger games, or in general more productive teams. This is going to be surprising. I will say yes, of course, but at the same time we are in a transition phase. So to be honest, my suggestion is a bit more complex than just a regular yes. The thing is, DOTS right now, as I said, is in a transition phase. It's still in preview, what we call preview. So we're saying that basically we're in a phase where we're still developing the technology, the package is called. And for that reason, it depends, right, if you want to use DOTS right now. Because not all of the pieces of Unity have been translated to DOTS. So if you decide to use DOTS today, you will have to integrate DOTS with existing Unity and use the two alongside each other, which can have a lot of sense. And the number one reason why you would do that is maybe there is something that you can't do in regular Unity, but you want to do today, like something very big or something very complex. You want to have maybe a very complex AI running every single frame, or a big simulation that, for example, simulating an airport, an entire airport, or having, if you work in not in games but in like engineering and construction, having simulate like a huge structure with millions of objects, then you probably need DOTS, and that's why you would choose to use it today. For other use cases, like very, very small games, maybe it makes sense to wait a little bit until we consolidate the technology. But in any case, the reason why I brought it to Codemotion is because I thought that seeing DOTS and ECS, which is one part of DOTS, as soon as possible makes people get used to it and makes people understand it. And I think it's crucial to start getting used to it for when we have the full thing in place, and then they will be ready to go with DOTS. I mean, improvements are coming all the time. There's so many. Obviously, DOTS is one of them. Probably the biggest in some way, because it's going to become foundational to all of Unity. So all of Unity will be powered by DOTS one day. DOTS brings the ability to basically we're creating a visual scripting system only for DOTS, which means that in the future, when we have that in place, people will be able to like create games without any code, which is very interesting, and it's something that's quite new to Unity. And that's for what concerns DOTS. And then we have another piece of the puzzle, well, another couple of pieces. One of them, which is very important, is packages. Packages is the idea that we are taking the Unity engine and we're kind of like slicing it into different parts that we call packages. And you're gonna be able to attach or detach these parts to the core engine. So the core engine is gonna be very, very small, like literally no size in some way, one day. By attaching packages, or importing packages, I should say, you obtain functionality, and you can have, a graphic engine, a physics engine, multiplayer, whatever you need, you attach it, you import it. Whatever you don't need, you leave outside. And that means that, as I was saying before, at that point you can have very small games because you just import what you need. And then you can have very big games where you import, all of the functionality you need for the big game. Maybe you want to swap some of the pieces of this puzzle for your own tech. Maybe you want to develop your own physics engine, and with the packages you can do that, because then you can literally rip off the one that we made and you can import your own. Part of this picture is also the new scriptable rendering pipelines, which are rendering pipelines that developers can script themselves, so they can really customize the rendering of the game or the product. And so one thing that comes with packages is the fact that all packages are in C#, and you get the source of the packages, which means that now for the first time in Unity you basically have access to the majority of the source code that Unity has, and you can change it. You can inspect it, you can debug it, you can change it to make small modifications, or, as I said before, big modifications where you literally take off the package and you put your own. So that's, I think, is one of the biggest, most exciting changes, which is taking us a lot to make, but once it's going to be fully in place, it's going to be very interesting. Tough question. I think one of the most important non-technical skills, which doesn't only apply to game development, is teamwork. Is the ability to work in a team, to understand the other members of the team, what they want, and the ability to compromise, with them and find like a common, how do you say, like a meeting ground, A
common ground.
A common ground, yes, that's the word. So the ability to find a common ground, and work for the product and not only for yourself. So basically, when you do that, then the product and you gain as well. So I think, teamwork and the ability to work within a structure and not just as an individual is one of the most important skills for game development.